Have you ever been watching the Kingsman movies and thought to yourself, I wonder what this would look like in an anime adaptation? The answer is probably not, because you're not a fucking weeb. But for people like me, we think about stuff like this all the time. Hence, High Card. High Card is like if Kingsman and Yu-Gi-Oh had a baby, and then that baby got dropped on its head, and then that baby did a line of
funny nose powder
and spiked with
funny juice.
That's what that's like, because the show is so outlandish that you'd be like, whoa, what the fuck am I even watching? And that's just how it is. All the characters are also so fashionably dressed that you would think that there's a Gucci fashion show going on just down the street. But let's talk about what makes High Card one of the most underrated gems in the anime world. Do you remember how I said earlier that High Card is like a baby between Kingsman and Yu-Gi-Oh, and the baby was dropped on its head and now it's all coked up? Yeah, so the reason I said that is because the creators of High Card actually said that they were inspired by Kingsman, and so they wanted to have the same flair, style, and vibes as the show. And, you know, this is good for me because that means that I'm not actually talking out of my ass. I'm sure you could find the interview somewhere, but I don't have it. Now you might be asking the question, what makes High Card so special? Well, if you've seen any other anime, you know that most of them are just dropped in Japan. But this one is actually set in an imaginary kingdom called Fourland, and the reason why is because these creators really wanted to have this international spy feel, and it almost feels like we're in the UK or Italy or something like that. And this really adds to the effect of the spies, because I don't think I've ever seen a spy movie that was set in Japan, unless you can name one, and if you, the viewer, can name one, I will be totally surprised. So another nod back real quick to what I said originally. Do you remember how I said that this show is based off of Kingsman? Well, you see, instead of going for luxury suits and all of that, they go for things like luxury cars. Not far off, actually, but pretty much the same thing. So I know some of you are asking, why is it this at all important? Why is it a luxury car dispensary? Is that right? Dispensary? Now I know what you might be asking. Well, why does a luxury car company matter? And the answer to that is the spies always have to have a special place to get their gear, right? In James Bond, there's Q, and Q is important to the story because he makes weapons. And that's important because James Bond needs weapons to be successful. In the Kingsman movies, you have Kingsman Tailoring Co., which this is important to hold up not only a disguise, but provide weapons and bulletproof suits. Now, in High Card, we have Pinnacle, which is a luxury car company, and what they do is they provide everything that you need. It's very, very important to have a sick, badass ride. I mean, isn't that what it's all about when you're being a spy? And don't even get me started on the character design. They've got that same stylish, I'm gonna kick your ass, but I'm gonna look good doing it vibe as the Kingsman characters. It's almost as if they're trying to bait the entire world with how cool and unique each character looks. Like, goddamn, I could go on about this all day, but you might be wondering, Alex, who the fuck even are these characters, and why are they important? Well, let me just give you a little sneak peek. We got Finn, our main man. This dude's a thief, but like the Robin Hood kind. He's got a heart of gold under all that edgy thief exterior. And then there's the rest of the gang, each with their own deal going on. But hey, I don't want to spoil all the surprises. You'll just have to stick around to meet the rest of these beautiful bastards. Trust me, it's going to be a wild ride. Alright, let's meet the man, the myth, the legend, Finn. Finn has got a backstory that'll make you want to call your therapist and say, hey, you need a raise. Finn's backstory is pretty, unclear, but for the most part, all we know is that he's an orphan who's trying to save his orphanage from going over, even if that means stealing some fat stacks from a casino. But of course, shit hits the fan when he gets caught up in a shootout and then ends up joining the High Card crew. You see, Finn isn't the only one with a tragic past and a chip on his shoulder. Let's meet Chris Redgrave, the whole brains behind the operation. You see, he's so cool, calm, and collected that even James Bond looks like a nervous wreck around him. And Leo Constantine Pinnacle, the fearless leader with a mysterious backstory and a hard-on for those X-playing cards. Oh, and let's not forget about Wendy Sato. She's got more fight in her than a honey badger with crack in its system. And then there's the Green Ranger. Together, these guys make the High Card team, a bunch of misfits and loose cannons on the search for the X playing cards, and to save the world from all destruction. But don't let the luxury car company and shiny outfits fool you. You see, these fuckers mean business when it comes down to hunting these cards, so don't get in their way. Now you might be asking, what the actual fuck is up with these playing cards? Well, this is where things get really weird. You see, these aren't just any regular old cards. What these cards do is they give you fucking superpowers. That's right, superpowers. And not just any regular superpowers like super strength or flight. These give you the powers to change the course of the entire world. That's fucking nuts. But as our favorite Uncle Ben once said,
remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
But what he forgot to tell young Peter Parker was that it comes with a whole bunch of fucking trouble too. You see, the high card crew aren't the only ones after these X playing cards. From corporate douchebags to mafia goons, they've got rivals up their asses, and it's fucking crazy. They'll stop at nothing to get these cards. That includes mass murder. So how do these crazy superpowers play into the story? Well, all the action scenes in high card are like nothing you've ever seen before. Imagine John Wick on a bad acid trip, and you're roughly halfway there. But you'll have to stay tuned to see how wild things get. Alright, so let's talk about these X playing cards. They're not just some fancy ass collectibles for rich losers to jerk off to. No, these bad boys are the real deal. Each one of these cards gives the user a unique superpower. And we're not talking about some weak shit like being able to turn invisible, to read minds, or fly, or super strength, or anything else that's cringe like that. The powers these cards give are straight up insane. But here's the thing. Everybody and their mother is trying to get their fucking grubby little hands on these cards. So how do you get one? Well, you have two options. Either it spawned in your hand, or two, you killed somebody for it. Or I guess there's a third option, you steal it. But who's gonna do that? Because that is for losers. So the whole job of the high card crew is to gather all 52 of these cards and bring them back to the King of Fourland. And to be honest, this job is not for little loser babies. These cards are so powerful that they can control the world order. That's right, you heard me. The fate of the whole fucking world rests on these 52 pieces of cardboard, and you thought your Yu-Gi-Oh collection was valuable. But what really makes high cards stand out is how they use these powers in the action scenes. It's not just your standard punch the bad guy and save the day BS. These characters are using their cards' powers in ways that make your head spin. Like when Finn uses his gun card to turn a simple car chase into a bloody shit show, or when Chris uses his card to live through some real disasters. And the best part, each character's power is tied to their own personal journey and growth. It's like the X playing cards are a messed up version of a self-help book. They force these characters to confront their own inner demons and unlock their true potential. That's some deep shit, man. And like I said earlier, the high card crew aren't the only ones that are after these cards. You see, they've got rivals from all over the freaking world, out of every corner, spawning in to get these cards. All of them with their own twisted agenda. And eventually, sooner or later, you know that shit's gonna hit the fan. Some of the notable examples are the corporate scumbags from Who's Who and the mafia twats from Klondike. You see, and they'll do anything to get their hands on these cards. And when I say anything, I mean it. They'll lie, they'll steal, they'll kill, and you name the rest of them, and that's literally what they'll do. And they'll do it all to get what they want. And you know what? I'm not going to spoil the rest of it for you, but you can watch and find out how much shit really does go down. Now let's talk about all of the rivals that high card has to offer. Let's start with the cocksuckers at Who's Who. These guys are like if Amazon and Apple had a baby. They're going through crushing the competition to get whatever they want, no matter who it hurts. And then there's the Klondike family. These guys make The Godfather look like a freaking Disney movie. They want the X playing cards so bad that they're not afraid to get their hands dirty and hurt whoever in the process. So now high card is stuck in the middle of this absolute shitstorm, trying to collect all 52 of these cards. Whether it be backstabbers, whether it be just people with itchy trigger fingers, you know that it's a wild ride. And it's almost like playing Uno with a bunch of crazy psychopaths. But you know what? That's fucking awesome. Every episode is like a roller coaster through a minefield. You never know who's gonna double cross who, or what kind of crazy power is gonna pop up next. Do you remember the car chase I mentioned earlier? The one where Finn's gun card made the entire chase a bloody mess? Well, that's just a prime example of exactly what I'm talking about. And you know what? These rivalries aren't just for gits and shiggles. They actually progress the story. Wow, that's the first time I've ever seen that happen. A great example of this is when Leo's mysterious past comes back to haunt him. Or how about when Wendy has to face herself and she knows all of her own techniques? Like, come on, isn't that awesome? All of this stuff gets super personal, and that's what makes high cards so interesting, is that there's always just something around the corner that you can't quite put your finger on, that'll make the entire story or episode just stand out from anything else. But the action isn't the only thing that makes High Card a certified banger. You see, it has amazing sound and music design. First, I want to talk about the animation. The animation is so good that it'll make you want to cream your pants. The animation is smoother than a baby's ass, and it stays this way throughout the entire show. I mean, props to Studio Hibari for not half-assing it like some other animes out there. Earlier, I mentioned the character designs. Nozomi Kawano deserves a fucking medal for the way that he created these characters and made them to look. They're so just outstanding, and they make a lasting impact, I would say, on the anime industry. I would even say that these characters are like diamonds in a pile of dog shit. Finn's got that cool, pretty boy look, Leo's got that mysterious backstory vibes, and Winnie's got the sexy as hell combat gear, and that's just epic. It's almost as if they specifically designed these characters to make your eyes orgasm every time you saw them on screen. But the real MVP of High Card is actually its song selection. You know you're in for a wild ride when the first song in the first season is a banger. You see, they picked a song called Trickster by 5 New Old, and this song has your head banging. Like, I mean, like, hitting the desk banging. And then there's the ending song, Squad by Maid-chan. It's like the cherry on top of a sundae of pure awesomeness. It leaves you satisfied, but still wanting to come back for more. Remember that band I mentioned that made the song for season 1? Well, they're back with a song called Showdown. They knew exactly what we wanted the first time, so they brought it back and they made it even harder. Now I know I'm gonna have some stuck-up assholes in the comments saying, oh, the animation isn't eye-popping enough. Well, you know what I have to say to that? Fuck you. That's all I've got to say. Because you know what? It gets the job done. I mean, it brings the characters to life and it pushes the story along. And with a soundtrack that slaps harder than your drunk stepdad, you get fully immersed into High Card. And that's what you really want. And while we're talking about the soundtrack, can we take a moment to just appreciate Ryo Takahashi? He composed all of the music for this entire show. And it's almost like he's in your head, being a puppet master of your emotions. He's got songs that'll make you feel the action, or songs that'll make you want to cry alongside the characters. Just amazing composer. Now I know I've spent roughly 17 minutes explaining why this anime is like one of the most hype. Well, right now I'm about to burst that bubble just a little bit. You see, some people just aren't going to vibe with the over-the-top action scenes or the convoluted plot. But here's the thing. High Card isn't your grandma's everyday anime. It's got unique flavor that sets it apart from the rest of the bland-ass shit out there. And sure, some critics will turn their nose and scoff as they write a 1-star review being like, oh, the animation's just okay. But you know what? Fuck them. They wouldn't know good anime if it bit them in the ass anyway. First off, the whole card-based superpower thing is like cool as hell. I mean, the way that they integrate it into the story and the fights is creative as hell. And it's not just some gimmicky bullshit. Now let's talk about the setting. A secret kingdom outside of Japan with a secret organization collecting super-powered cards. Now just let that run through your mind for a second. That is hype. That is so fucking cool. It's like James Bond meets Kingsman, but with more explosions and cooler outfits. The international vibe makes this show one of the best ones to watch. It almost feels like you're jetting off to a new country every episode. But you know what makes High Card really stand out? It's the characters. They're not just some one-dimensional, typical anime trope. No. These characters have backstories and lives and motivations that really make you care about them. They don't just sit there and look pretty and spout one-liners. It goes way beyond our main characters. I mean, it even reaches out to the villains. Who's Who and the Klondike family have very different agendas, even if one of the main goals is to collect all 52 X playing cards. And every time High Card and Klondike go against each other, it's like a high-stakes game of chess, but with more explosions and guns. That's the big difference, though. So yeah, High Card may not be perfect, but it takes risks, tries new things, and that's what makes it so goddamn entertaining. You just can't help but get invested and come back every time an episode comes out, or the next one pops up on your TV. And for all you gamers out there, High Card is just like crack. With all of the card superpowers, the strategic battles, and the high stakes missions, it's like you're playing a video game, but without all the carpal tunnel and Dorito dust. It's got that addictive quality that just makes you want to keep coming back for more and more. And if you're tired of the same boring cookie cutter anime, then why not give this one a try? It might just surprise you how much fun you'll actually be having while watching this. And if anybody gives you shit for liking it, tell them to go fuck themselves, because life is too short to indulge in boring anime. So what are you waiting for, you little idiot? Go binge High Card right now on Crunchyroll. It's the underdog anime that's going to sweep you off your feet every time. It's going to leave you begging for more with killer visuals, an amazing soundtrack, and characters that will make you want to be their best friends, or punch them in the face, either one. And if you're still not convinced, let me break it down for you just one more time. Oh, and if you're thirsting for that anime goodness, then go check out my Mashle Magic and Muscle video. It'll be right here or in the description or something like that. Because who doesn't love a story about a man who only uses his muscle to defeat strong and powerful wizards?